In the introduction lecture of NgRx Router Store, we talked about something called as time travel debugging. So in this lecture, we are going to understand what is time travel debugging and how it can be useful for us while debugging our NgRx application. Now, time travel debugging in the context of NgRx Router Store, it refers to the ability to replay and revert the application state, including its routing state, through a timeline of dispatched actions. And it is a powerful debugging feature primarily enabled by the Redux DevTools extension and the NgRx Router Store module. So in order to enable time travel debugging, you should have NgRx Router Store installed and added in your app module. Now, the Redux DevTool is a browser extension that visualizes the NgRx store. We have already installed and used Redux DevTools in our previous lectures. So it basically displays a chronological list of all the dispatched actions and the state of the application after each action. So we have seen that when we use Redux DevTool, there we can see all the dispatched actions. And when we click on one of the actions, then we can see the state snapshot for that particular action. Now, Redux Dev Toolkit, it provides a time traveling interface, which is basically a slider and a list of actions that allows you to select any past action in the timeline and the application state. And you can also reapply actions to move forward through the history, and you can effectively replay user interactions and their impact on the application from very beginning. So let's see how we can do time travel debugging with the help of Redux DevTool. Now remember that when you want to use time travel debugging in your NgRx application, for that, first of all, you need to install NgRx Router Store in your NgRx application, and you also need to have this line added. So here we are importing StoreRouterConnectingModule. So this you need to import in the imports array of the app module. So this is a must, and you also need to have router state enabled. So if I go to store and there, if I go to appstate.ts file, there we have already enabled router state. So this should also be added in your application state in order to enable time travel debugging. So when you have all these in place, that means when you have already installed NgRx Router Store in your application, you have added this store router connecting module, you have imported this store router connecting module in your app module, and you have added the router state in your application state. After that, time travel debugging will be enabled by default. Now in our application, let's go ahead and let's see what do we mean by time travel debugging. Before that, let me also go to appmodule.ts file, and remember that when we imported this store devtool module in the app module, there we are specifying the max age as 25. That means the last 25 dispatched action only will be displayed in the Redux Dev Toolkit. So this is very important to understand. Here, for now, I'm going to set it to 1000. Okay, now let's go to our application, and here let me open developer tools, and there let's go to Redux. And what I will also do is I'll move this dev tool in the right hand side so that we can see all the states, all the dispatched actions and their respective state. Now here I'm going to start the application from start. So I'll simply go ahead and I will restart the application. So the application has been restarted and we are in the home page. And for this, you will see that these actions has been dispatched. So you can go through each of these actions. You can go to initial state. In the initial state, you will see that we have only auth state and the shared state available. Here also for the second action, which is initializing the effects, there also in this store, we have only two states, auth and shared. When we go to auto login action, there also we have two states, login success, we have two states. Then there was a navigation. So we requested for root URL. So for that the navigation happened, and when the navigation happened, for that also some actions has been dispatched. So now you can see after we have been navigated to the root page, this router state is also added to this state. So till here in the store we have only two states, but after this action was dispatched, we have three states. We have three state properties. So you can go through each of these actions and you can see the respective state at that time when that action was dispatched. Now here, let me go ahead and let me log in a user. So here we have moved to login page, and when we move to login page, again some router actions were dispatched. Let's go ahead and let's log in here. So here I'm going to log in John for him. The ID is john@gmail.com, and let's provide the password for this user, and let's log in this user. Now when I'm going to log in, again some actions will be dispatched. So this is the last action here, this navigated action which has been dispatched by NgRx Router Store. Now let me log in, and after that you will see that these actions are dispatched. The login start action was dispatched, set is loading action was dispatched, and it set the loading to true. So here you can see the loading is true, and again the set is loading action was dispatched, and there the is loading was set to false. And then we have login success action. So once the login was successful, you can also see a user object. Before that, it was null. Okay. And again, after the login was successful, the user was redirected to home page. So for that also, some router actions were dispatched, and you can see the state when these actions were dispatched. Now let me go to counter page. So currently, if you see, we have only 3 states in our store. If I go to counter, a 4th state has been added. So at this action, okay, so once we navigated, at this time, we have 4 states in our store. Now, let me go to courses page. And once we go to courses page, some more actions will be dispatched. As you can see, some more actions are dispatched. Okay, let me edit a course here. So here, let me simply change the title to Angular from Zero to Hero 2025. And let's update this course. And for this also, some actions will be dispatched, as you can see. And you can go to each of these actions and you can see the state at that time when that action was dispatched. Let's also see the detail of one of the courses. Okay, and then let's click on Back to Course button. So in this way, you can see a list of all the actions dispatched, and here you will only see the last 1000 actions dispatched. Earlier it was 25, so you could have only seen the last 25 actions dispatched, but since I changed it to 1000, now you can see last 1000 actions dispatched. Now what we can also do here is, below you will see that we have a play button, we have a slider. So here we can also go ahead and slide, and we can go to different states. As you can see, when I'm moving this slider, we are going to different states, and you can also see the current action which was dispatched. As you can see, so here this request router action was dispatched. Then here navigated action was dispatched. If I keep on moving, if I keep on sliding using this slider, we will go to different stages, different actions. So at this point, this show form action was dispatched and the form is shown in the UI. So what we can do is we can also play these actions from start. So let me go to the top, and when I click on this play button, you will see all the actions which are getting dispatched. And when those actions are dispatched, what change happened in the UI, that also you can see. Okay, so you can see all the actions which is currently getting dispatched, and with that action, what change happened in the UI as well as what changed happened in the state, and you can also see the URLs which is changing. Okay, let me play again. So you will also see the changes in the URL, the changes in the UI, and the changes in the state. And this is what is called as time travel debugging. You also have this go back and go forward. So from here also, you can go back to previous actions and you can see the state and the URL as well as the UI changes. Okay. So here you can see currently this set is loading action was dispatched. So for that, it is showing this loading indicator in the UI. So in this way, you can go to the previous states using this back button and forward button. In this case, you can see that when this action, this request action of router store was dispatched, this was the UI which was displayed, and you can also see the URL at that time. So this will help you debug your NgRx application. Now, what is the advantage of this time travel debugging? Let's try to understand that. So here I have listed some of the advantages which you will get when you use time travel debugging. First of all, instead of trying to reproduce a bug by repeatedly performing a sequence of actions, you can record the problematic session with the help of time travel debugging. Then you can step backward through the actions as I just showed you, and you can inspect the state at each step until you identify precisely when and where the unexpected behavior or the incorrect state was introduced. So this is one advantage. Also, time travel debugging provides a clear visual history of how your application state changed over time. You can see which actions caused which state modification, making it easier to understand complex data flow and dependencies. And also, once you have a recorded session, you can replay it consistently. And this ensures that you can always reproduce the bug even if it is difficult to trigger manually. You can also share these recorded sessions with other developers, facilitating collaboration. When dealing with asynchronous operations also, time travel debugging can be very useful. So when we are working with asynchronous operations like HTTP requests, it can be challenging to track the exact sequence of events. But time travel debugging allows you to see the actions dispatched before, during, and after an asynchronous call, providing a comprehensive view of the interaction. And for new developers joining a team, observing the action logs and time traveling through an application's usage can provide a rapid understanding of how the application works, its state structure, and the flow of data. And with NgRx Router Store integrated, you can not only see changes in your application's data, but also how routing actions affect the URL and the router's internal state. And this is crucial for debugging navigation issues and ensuring that the UI reflects the correct route. So in short, time travel debugging can be very useful for you as a front-end developer when you want to understand or find an issue which has happened when an action was dispatched. Okay, so remember that time travel debugging gives you the ability to replay and revert the application state, including its routing state, through a timeline of dispatched actions. And it is a powerful debugging feature enabled by Redux DevTools extension and the NgRx Router Store module. So always remember that when you want to enable time travel debugging in your NgRx application, you must install NgRx Router Store in your NgRx application. Alright, so this is all I wanted to cover in this lecture. If you have any questions from this lecture, then feel free to ask it. Thank you for listening and have a great day.